This is Josh from PSC Motorsports. Today we're going to be putting an assist kit on this Shiner Bock truck. So this is an F250. Our kit goes on F250s, F350s from 2011 to 22. Let's get her done. Our Super Duty kit will come with a gearbox, 4 quarts of fluid, your line kit for cylinder assist, your cylinder, your axle bracket for the axle, tie rod clamp, and all the hardware. Our first step is we pull out the inner fender so that we can get to the top of the gearbox easier to undo the lines in the input shaft. Just like that. First step is we pop this plastic cover up. You pull it up out of the way. Next step, it's 18 millimeter for these lines. Bust them loose. Both of these are 18 millimeters. There she is, she's free. So your next step is to bungee cord the steering wheel so you don't break the clock spring, so it don't rotate while you have the steering gear off. I usually just connect it underneath the seat frame. The next step is the input shaft, and that should be a 13 millimeter. Now, we separate the input shaft from the gearbox. And we're free. We gotta remove this cotter pin. So go ahead and grab it, pull it on out. Right, and then you remove this little castle nut. And then that's gonna be a 22. We'll remove this bolt, and this bolt, and your gearbox is free. With the steering gear out, you can remove the pitman arm with a pitman arm puller and install it on your new PSC gear. You take your pitman arm and the supplied nut, you line up the splines. It should slip right on when you line up the splines. You take your supplied nut, put it on there. I like to zap it down with the impact, and then when you get it on the truck, you torque it down to 225 foot-pounds. The O-rings that are supplied with the kit, you pop off your factory ones, and you slide in the new O-ring. You pop off your old O-ring, you take your new one that's supplied in the kit, and you just slip her on. And now you're ready. He's installing the high pressure hose first, and then he's going to install the low pressure hose. The intermediate shaft then can be reattached to the steering gear. Make sure it is fully seated and the bolt is in the groove. So now we're going to put the castle nut on there. Make sure she lines up and everything. Put your cotter pin through there. And your drag link's now secure. So your first step is to take off any stabilizers you have. We remove all stabilizers when you put a cylinder on there. We're going to undo these 4 bolts right here. so that we can mount our cylinder assist bracket on there. Now we're going to put the cylinder assist bracket in there. I like to do the top bolts first. And I'll just run them down until they're kind of snug for now, until you get all 4 in there. Then jack up the front axle and turn the front end to the driver's side until you hit the steering stops. Then install the cylinder into the bracket off the differential onto the tie rod. With the cylinder bottomed out and the axle on the steering stop, no measuring is required. And those will be 15/16. Go ahead and bust the caps on the top of the cylinder loose. And now you can set it down off the jack. Now we can hook up the cylinder assist lines. The line closest to the input shaft goes to the passenger port on the cylinder. We're running our 729 flushing oil through here because Ford from factory runs ATF as power steering fluid, and we don't like that. It's one thing if it's a trail fix, but it's not the fluid we suggest with our kits. So we're going to run this through there. It is slow to drain, but you can hear the bubbles now. What we want is to get all the old fluid out of the system. We got the system all flushed out of all the ATF, and all the fluid that's coming through it all looks pretty clean. So now we're going to put the lines on the cylinder. And your longer line will go to the driver's side. Your shorter line, go to the passenger side. With the front of the vehicle supported on a jack or some stands, fill the reservoir with some fluid and the engine off and begin to work the steering wheel back and forth from lock to lock. Charlie, you want to fire her up? Clear. Once the bubbles start coming up through the fluid, you can start the vehicle once again and work the system back and forth again. When there are no bubbles present, shut off the vehicle, install the cap, and that's how you properly bleed a PSC steering system. Reinstall the inner fender and test drive the vehicle. So we just wrapped up the assist kit for this F250. We're going to go take it out for a test drive, and we might even have a couple shiner box. For information on this kit or any of our components, head to pscmotorsports.com.